So you get out of prison, right, after doing your 5 years, and 6 months pass. Now you're talking about you're done with the drug game at this point.
Correct.
So what happens?
Well, the first day I get out, I get a call from Danilo, and he started to ask me what I'm doing, what's going on, what are the prices in L.A., who's doing coke. He has told me he has 700 keys, and he got to get rid of them right now. They're on his back. He needs some help. Would I help him? Would I help him? And I start to wrestle with this feeling. Now I'm out here, and I made my mind up I was going to go straight. I'm working every day, hauling trash. I got a truck that I'm doing cleanups off of construction sites, trying to do the music stuff. I had my old theater that I was trying to open up. I bought an old theater that I thought was going to be the West Coast Apollo, where I plan on putting on hip-hop shows and so forth. And I'm wrestling with the thing now that I could have all the money that I needed. That I wouldn't have to ask Jimmy Iovine or Suge or Harry O or nobody to help me. That I could help myself.
So one last deal.
Yeah, one last deal.
Kind of like what, if you watch the movie Blow, sort of what happened to him, to Boston George, who we interviewed as well.
Yeah. Yeah,
so
that's
you
how
had
it happened.
One last big deal. If this deal went through, how much money would you have had?
Probably a few $100,000.
Okay, not that much.
No, just a couple $100,000.
Okay.
But I didn't feel I needed much money with all my connections. Chocolate. I was hanging out with Chocolate. I was hanging out with Ant Banks. I had all these guys. Sir Jinx. Sir Jinx rode me around just about every day, picked me up, took me around. So I have the people that could put me in the position that I wanted. And this is even before Master P had blew up.
Right.
This is like 92, 93. So hip-hop was still like, they were still buying records. I had the Alcoholics, too, that would pretty much do almost anything I wanted them to do. Fade. I had favorites that I could call in. Reggie was still producing Soul Train. I had a lot of elements there that I felt that I didn't really need. And Dick Griffey, I think Dick was still living, too. Yeah, Dick Griffey was still living. Matter of fact, Dick, the day after I met with Dick, and Dick gave me my distribution deal, I got arrested the next day.
Okay. So the person that set up that drug deal with you, were they a Fed or were they working?
No, it was my old connection.
Okay.
It was a guy that I'd been selling drugs with all the time.
Okay. And what was his situation at the time?
He was in prison.
And they let him out.
They was letting him out to set up deals.
To set up a deal.
Right.
To get his sentence reduced.
Correct. And me being in prison, when I went to prison, I cut all my drug ties. I stopped talking to all my friends who sold drugs. Because they tell you on the phone, this phone is subject to be monitored and all
right.
calls are recorded and anything you say, So I didn't want to put any of my friends in harm's way. So I cut off all my ties. And then I just started talking to people in the hip-hop business, people doing magazines, news people. Those became the people that I talked to. So my connect, I didn't talk to him, and I didn't know he had got arrested.
Okay. So you did the drug deal with him while he's being monitored by the police.
Yeah, it was what they call a reverse sting. Where the cops, they set up a drug deal, and the cops are going to bring the drugs, and you're going to buy the drugs from them.
Okay. Is that considered entrapment or no?
No. Entrapment is a funny animal. Entrapment is a state of mind. And they have to evaluate your mind to find out, were you predisposed prior to the informant, who is technically a DA agent. He's an agent of the DEA. Were you predisposed to commit the crime prior to him coming up contacting you?
Okay, so what that means is if you walk up to someone who's working at McDonald's who's never sold drugs before and try to entrap them selling drugs, that would be entrapment.
That's
But
an easier entrapment
That's
to
an
prove.
easier entrapment. But if you go to a convicted drug dealer, then that's not entrapment.
It could be entrapment, but will a jury believe that you was entrapped, or do they believe that you were already predisposed?
Okay.
And they could use your prior conviction to show predisposition.
Got it.
Meaning that, I'm predisposed to sell drugs, but I wasn't selling drugs at that time. And that was my argument, is that, I wasn't selling drugs when you first approached me. I haven't sold drugs in 6 years, almost 7 years, prior to you contacting me that day. What makes me predisposed?
Okay. But that didn't work.
No, the jury didn't buy it.
Right.
All white jury,
Yeah. So basically, in the middle of the transaction, the police swooped in and.
Yeah. What happened is my crimey Chico had a bag of money. It was his money. It was his deal. I was what they call me the broker of the deal. But the broker gets the same amount of time as the guy who's actually buying the drugs. Even though you're not buying the drugs, you just introduce two people. So Chico handed him the money. Danilo handed me the keys to the car. I handed the keys of the car to Mike. Mike got in the car, tried to start it, and the car wouldn't start. In the meantime, I looked in the back of the car to see that the drugs was in the car. It appeared to be cocaine in the car. I turned around and told Chico, looked like it's all there. I jumped back in my car and was taking off because I was riding by myself. When I tried to pull out, an undercover car pulled and tried to block me in, but I didn't know it was an undercover because I still don't know it's a setup at that time. I didn't know it was a setup till I got ready to go out of the parking lot, and a black and white tried to cut me off. And that's when it dawned on me that this was a setup. I turned back to look at Chico and his partner and Mike, who was going to drive the drugs back, and they were all had guns on them with FBI, DEA agents, jackets all around them.
So you get arrested.
Yes.
And you get convicted and you get life in prison.
Life without the possibility of parole.
How did you feel when they told you that?
Bad. I mean, it was not as bad as the first day that I went to prison, because I already knew that I was looking at life anyway. When I got inside the building, I mean, I've been in jail with guys who had gotten 3 struck already, so I already knew what I was looking at from my prior conviction. But when they gave me that life, it was like, wow, you just kill your mom. My mom broke down in the courtroom crying, and I was like, you'll never see her a free man again. So it was one of the worst days of my life.